Hi guys, Alistair Taylor here, and today we're going to have a look at the Taylormade Aeroburner Mini Driver. Okay guys, so Taylormade Aeroburner Mini Driver. So we've still got the bigger face slot, so wider, deeper, nearer the club face, more forgiving on those off-centre strikes. For me, a deep face, which is probably going to make it easier to hit off the tee than the floor. And you can certainly see when it's behind the ball, you know, a much smaller profile than you would expect to see with driver, but certainly much bigger than you'd expect to see with the fairway wood. But it's got the speed crown, it's got the speed fin, everything that's there on the driver and the 3-wood. But something in between for those guys who maybe struggle a little bit with driver. Okay guys, so like we said, this is really a club that for the guy who's not very comfortable with the big long shaft and the massive 460cc head in the traditional modern drivers, you know, this, and they feel more comfortable with 3-wood, this is kind of for me, a souped up 3-wood as opposed to a mini driver. Clearly it's called the mini driver though. So we're going to hit 5 shots, real balls, on flight scope, and I'm going to give you a bit of feedback as to, you know, whether if you're a guy who struggles with driver, possibly this is something that should be in the bag. So, you know, big deep face, even though it's a small head, you know, just looks like a very big 3-wood for me. This one's 14 degrees stiff shaft. I mean, goes really well. I mean, for any of you guys that watch my videos, I have done separate videos on the driver and the 3-wood for the Aeroburner. And the one thing that was very noticeable with the 3-wood is it hit it a long way. But certainly I completely understand why, for the guys who aren't comfortable with 45.5, 46-inch shaft drivers, why this would appeal. You know, being that little bit shorter does feel like you've got a little bit more control. Obviously it's not as forgiving with the smaller head, but with the shorter shaft, I think guys find it that little bit easier to use off the tee, and I get that. Very easy to hit. I mean, particularly Taylormade nowadays are making drivers with a lot of loft on them. So certainly last year with SLDRS they made a 16-degree driver. So they made a driver that was more lofted than this. I believe this comes in 12, 14 and 16 degrees. So last couple. A little bit out the toe, but high. We're a little bit downwind, and it is a bit blustery today down here. And one last one. I mean, certainly for me, it feels like I don't hit up on it quite as much. It feels like I could get away with hitting down a bit more on the ball with this club. Last one. Yeah, it goes a long way. I mean, like I said, it is a bit downwind today. Well, that's really getting out there. So, I mean, my first views on look and feel is yes, it is what it says. It is a mini driver, possibly a big 3-wood. So let's look at some numbers, see how it performs. Okay guys, so the numbers on Aeroburner Mini Driver. So a really impressive carry at 255, total 286. Swing the club a little slower than I would normally with driver, but I'd expect that with the shorter shaft. Some good ball speed, so some decent ball striking with that. Little high on the backspin. Again, maybe at 14 degree, that's more than I would want. Launched it at a good 15 degree, but total flight a little bit on the high side at 106 with creating that amount of spin on the ball. But all in all, very impressive for a so-called mini driver. Okay guys, so we can see the numbers from flight scope there. It is very impressive. Like I said, downwind, so it's probably going a little further because it's real ball flight than it would on a still day. But certainly off the tee, yes, very, very good. Now, with last year's Mini driver, I found it was impressive off the tee. The little challenge for me is, because for me personally, this looks like a big 3-wood as opposed to a little driver, would I be able to use it off the floor? Now, initially when I put it down behind the ball, it's a very deep face, so it looks like it'd be harder to hit off the floor. Hit that pretty solid. Certainly hasn't gone anything like off the tee, and I can tell it's certainly a bit lower off the face. I'm not sure for me on a tight lie, I'd be that comfortable hitting this, but on a fluffy lie, yes, in theory, I think 14 degrees I could use. It's very flat. I mean, certainly for me, Mini driver would be a lot easier to hit than driver off the floor, but not quite as easy as 3-wood. So, yeah, it's definitely a Mini driver in the sense that it's easier to use off the tee. If it was easy to hit off the floor, it'd be a fairway wood. But for me, very impressive. I think the key for anyone that struggles with driver, this is a great option. The different lofts, different shafts, certainly I think you could find a driver to get a good distance and get yourself in play. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you have, thumbs up, give it a like, leave any comments down below for me. Is there anything you'd like me to test this against? Is there anything you'd like me particularly to test? Give me a call at Heron's Reach, 01253 832 505. Visit my website on www.alitaylorgolf.com. Subscribe to my channel up there. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video. I do appreciate it. Hopefully see some of you down here in the future. Stay in contact.